This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, ho there, it's Jeff Cutastrophe. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday for today, January the 5th, is a Welsh soccer legend who became a actor. Yeah, you'd be thinking to yourself, Welsh? Soccer? What are you trying to do? Well, this guy was known for being a good soccer player, but then he became an actor and has done some great things. I mean, he played as a midfielder for 15 years. He helped Wales out nationally, hopefully. He won an FA Cup. He was known as the hard man for his highly aggressive and physically uncompromised style of play. And is a typecast as a violent criminal thug. He's been in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, Gone in 60 Seconds, Mean Machine, and even was Juggernaut in X-Men Last Stand. He is VInnie Jones. So VInnie Jones was actually born in Watford in England, but because he had a Welsh grandparent, he could go play for Wales. And he did. He went to play for Wales internationally. It didn't take till 1994 to actually get to play on the Welsh team, even though he should have been on the Welsh team even before then, especially when Wales had that failed opportunity in 1994 to get to the World Cup and missed on a key penalty against Romania. He tried to get to Ireland through the eligibility through a grandparent, but couldn't. So he went to Wales, finally got his debut. And only played 9 games for Wales. So yeah, Jones really should have played much for Wales. Anyway, he played amateur football with the Alliance Premier League with Wealdstone. And they won the FA Trophy, which is an award, the Challenge Trophy for semi-pro teams. He went to Sweden to play for a Division 3 team, and then Wimbledon. Yes, the same place as the tennis championships. But Wimbledon signed him. They were in the first division, or what we call the Premier League nowadays, and paid for 110,000 British pounds for him. He scored against Manchester United in 1986. Well, of course, I wouldn't be upset, even though that I am a Man U fan, because, I was only a year old. Anyway, Wimbledon somehow and some way went to the 1988 FA Cup in one of the greatest upsets in history. Wimbledon took on Liverpool for the FA Cup, which is the big knockout stage competition in England. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in Europe and the world. So anyway, yeah. Wimbledon got in the third round of the FA Cup because, they were a Premier One. They were a top division team. They beat West Brom 4-1. They beat Mansfield Town 2-1. They beat Newcastle 3-1. In the quarters, they beat Watford 2-1. And in the semis against Luton, they shocked them. They beat them 2-1. And Luton was not really that much of a team. They would have to take on Liverpool, who had to deal with Stoke City, Aston Villa, Everton, Man City, and Nottingham Forest on their way to the title. So Liverpool had the tougher opponents and all that. And Wimbledon won, thanks to a goal by Laurie Sanchez. And actually, Dave Beckett becoming the first keeper. Well, for Wimbledon, he became the first goalie to save a penalty in the FA Cup final. And it was a massive upset. In fact, Dave Beckett was the second goalie to be captain and to lift the FA Cup. He was the captain. Not VInnie Jones, not Dennis Wise, not even Jan5. But yeah, he did it. The other goalie was in 1875. And then, John Watson commentated saying, "The crazy gang have beaten the culture club." And that's what happened. Well, of course, Wimbledon could have played in the Cup Winners' Cup, but because of Heysel, they couldn't. But anyway, yeah, Vinnie Jones can't believe his luck. He was an uncompromisingly tough midfielder. And then he went to Leeds in 1989 for 650,000 British pounds, which was amazing. Leeds ended up winning the second division, meaning they could go up to first division in 1990. And he did pretty good for himself. But after Leeds had David Batty and Gary Speed become pretty good and make Vinnie Jones lose his first team spot, he left and was signed with Sheffield in the first division. And then Chelsea picked him up for 575,000 British pounds in August of 91. He scored 7 goals for Chelsea. And then after just 1 year with Chelsea, he went back to Wimbledon. And Wimbledon ended up taking 6th in the Premier League in 1994, which was amazing. And Wimbledon got to the semis in both the FA Cup and League Cup in 1997. So he did pretty well. And then he became player coach of QPR and retired at age 34 in 1998. He was known as a hard man and all that, sent off 12 times and holds the record for the quickest booking in a football match, getting a yellow card for a foul on Dane Whitehouse for Chelsea against Sheffield in 1992. He does say, I must have been too high, too wild, too strong, and too early, because after 3 seconds, I could have hardly been too bloody late. And Vinnie Jones allegedly grabbed Paul Gascoigne's testicles in a match. Anyway, he was actually the presenter of Soccer's Hard Men, a thing released in 1992. Archive footage of him and Hard Man of the game. Unfortunately, he was given a 6-month ban for bringing the game into disrepute. Well, you can't blame him and all that. Jones tried to stay out of trouble, but he was in trouble. Vinnie Jones was given a 4-game suspension for not going to the FA headquarters for an hearing. Anyway, it didn't matter much. Then he went to being acting. He was in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and that actually helped him get some nice things and all that. Jones married Tanya Terry in 1994. Tanya had a daughter in their first marriage, but Jones and Tanya had a son, Aaron, who went on to Blues and Royals Regiment of the British Army. Jones actually said he received treatment after finding skin cancer below his eye. But his wife would suffer horribly. She got skin cancer, which spread to her brain, and it's almost troublesome. But yeah, she died in July 2019. So yeah, so Vinnie Jones, no matter what he does with not being in Wales that much, he still won the FA Cup in 1988, and that's a big deal in England. Or to win a championship, the FA Cup is big in England. And despite his hardships, and of course having to hear Vinnie Jones's alleged actions on the British show, they think it's all over, with Gary Lineker being one of the team captains and always being laughed at for his actions with Vinnie Jones. Vinnie Jones actually appeared on a couple of episodes. And Vinnie Jones was a panelist one time and was trying to read a question about Sepp Blatter and couldn't read the question. Gary Lineker says, "Before is a hard word." And then Jones allegedly said, "Well, for you should be fucking worried about after." And then it put a curve. But yeah, it's funny to a fault, but sometimes it's not. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.